Hey, welcome to the Sports Reverends Podcast. My name is Dan Chandra, and I am joined with the beautiful Drew Martin and the rugged-looking Joel Chandra, and also known as the coach. Yeah, that was my hat that just fell over, but that's okay. We're going to keep on going. My name's Dan. I work in downtown Toronto. I'm pastoring down there, and Drew Martin is pastoring in Selkirk, Manitoba. Yeah, you can Google where that is. And Joel is our analytics guy. He knows all numbers. Also has some theories that he knows all things, but I disagree.
9 times out of 10, I'm right. That's the rule.
How you guys doing?
Oh, very good.
Good. I would have accepted bodacious in your little intro there as a synonym for my looks, but that's okay.
Oh, that's next week. Drew,
That's
you
next
are
week.
not doing good. Tell us what just happened to you.
We just had a rough loss in golf, but, there's always next season, I guess.
Always next season. All right.
I
How
like
about you, Joel? How are you
championship
doing?
attitude. I'm doing all right. It's we're halfway through the week. Looking forward to the weekend because the weekends are awesome.
It's Tuesday, man. It's not halfway. And
I mean, by the time this comes out, come on.
I am doing well. Thanks for asking. And it's been kickoff season at church in the city, so it's been busy, but good. Joel, why don't you take us through the rundown of our show? Everything.
All right. Welcome back, season 4. Good times all around. We're gonna go through quick hitters, talk a little bit of pigskin, NFL, all sorts of things going on there. Talk a bit about some MLB, and wrap it up with some thoughts on Robert Sarver and racism, sexism, and the hypocrisy of the left. We'll call it that. And why don't we get started off, Dan? Start us off with our quick hitters.
Is pigskin offensive to pigs?
Yes.
Things are tasty, though.
They are tasty. All right, our quick hitter sports reverend news. Number 1, Zdeno Chara, PK Subban, and Keith Yandel have all retired.
Nathan McKinnon signs an 8-year, $100.8 million contract.
Serena Williams and Roger Federer have retired from tennis.
Are they the two greatest to ever do it?
Ooh, that's a topic.
No.
Trey Lance, done for the season. Jimmy G time.
Mike Evans suspended for 1 game for hitting Marshawn Lattimore. Bobby Hart also suspended 1 game for tried to hit a Titans player coach. And Cole Beasley has signed for the Bucks. That's it for our quick hitters. Before we go anywhere else, we're going to hit commercial. Sending it to you, Drew.
Yeah, well, we're talking about One Bone. One Bone is, well, they're doing more than shirts now, but it's for big, tall, and all guys. Yeah, you should check them out. I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. Always wear one of their shirts. Yeah, great stuff. If you use the code SportsRevs15, you get 15% off your first order. Go check them out. You won't regret it.
I want those everyday pants, the ones that like button at the bottom. You can make them
Yeah,
Yeah,
they look sweet.
Those are pretty cool.
All right. We are back, season 4. Let's start off with a little bit of NFL. Last week we did a halftime show, we'll call it. Really wasn't halftime, but working out the kinks there. And the game we were watching was the KC game. And Drew and I had it going the other way, but Patrick Mahomes and Sports Rev Dan thought otherwise. Let's start with you, Daniel, since you're gloating already. What did you think of the second half of that game?
I think you kind of saw the young Justin Herbert come out a little bit. Don't expect it for very much the rest of the season. Are we talking about Mahomes, right? Or what are you talking about?
The game. Ask about the game.
Yeah, Mahomes and Herbert on the Thursday nighter. That was Mahomes showed his class. He's still up there with the best. People have kind of taken him off that mantle already, but I'm not ready to do that. He's for real. And I know Drew's holding on to his very, very hot take of Mahomes never winning a Super Bowl again. I wouldn't. He's looking good right now, but I wouldn't hold on to that one. What do you think, Drew?
What about you, Drew?
Well-
What do you think of that the game?
Well, yeah, I still think Herbert's a stud. Like
Yeah.
stats wise, Herbert had the better day than Mahomes. But what the Chargers need to do is get back to run first. Eckler was non-existent in the game, and that's where their team really goes. Is Eckler? He gets involved in the passing game, running game, everything. That they need to get that offensive line more involved. A little more physical, and you know what? They didn't have Keenan Allen either.
True.
I think the Chargers will be just fine, and I think Herbert is a stud.
Well, I was happy to see Mike Williams finally decide to show up. My fantasy team is missed him sorely in week 1. But I think you make a really good point about the run game. I think it's interesting to see how in all football, if you can establish the run, the game gets significantly easier. So yeah, I think. Do you guys just quickly think that Mahomes is kind of suffering from being so in the spotlight, like the voter fatigue for like LeBron and Jordan? They're always talking about them, so people are like, let's look at somewhere else to try and find the next guy.
I think the struggle is coming in when they don't have enough money to pay everybody else. It comes something has to be done about the contracts in football. It's so lopsided about how like a quarter of your team's salary is spent on your quarterback, and that doesn't leave you with very much. So that's why I did take my hot take of once you pay $40-50 million for your quarterback, you won't have enough to go around for the 53 guys.
And I think that over the last decade, Drew, you're right, where I think it's only been like Aaron Rodgers who's – oh, no, he didn't win either.
And that was before he got paid.
That's before he got paid. So there hasn't been one in the last decade pretty much that has won. I don't know what Peyton Manning got paid, but –
Peyton Manning was the exception, I think, when we went through it before.
Yeah, I think.
But it's not even like he wasn't at the height of his career at that point. Like that was his 3rd or 4th contract at that point.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Nice little recap. Mahomes, Herbert, going to be good for years to come. Drew, I'll give you first take on this one because this is your hot take. Tua and the Dolphins, are they for real?
I think they are. I think their defense is legit. Their offensive line is way better. They've got a committee of running backs that look decent to good, which if you've listened to me talk about running backs before, that's all you need. You don't need to pay big contracts to running backs. Get guys like Chase Edmonds. They'll do just fine for you. Like Waddle and Hill, ridiculous. 11 catches each, I think.
Yep.
Over almost 200 yards for both of them, 2 touchdowns. And Tua is looking like the guy that they drafted out of Alabama. He's sneaky. He's sneaky quick in the pocket, and he can elude tackles, but he doesn't have the downfield arm strength. But if you catch Waddle and Hill on crossing routes, no one can keep up with those guys.
Absolutely. Dan?
Yeah. Does are they for real mean Super Bowl contenders?
Will they make the playoffs?
Playoffs, I would say yes.
I think they have a legit chance to win their division.
Yeah, I think
as good as Buffalo looks, I think Miami will have the easier schedule.
Yeah. I forgot to. Yeah, no, I don't think they win their division. Buffalo's good, but yeah, you may be right. But Buffalo's on another level. I think they make the playoffs. I wouldn't put them in a Super Bowl contender. I think Tua. If we have to remember the game, it was a blowout going into the 3rd quarter, and
yes,
I think it was less about Tua looking great and having Hill and Waddle constantly beat them over the top, but it's the Baltimore Ravens. They had going into the 4th quarter, Ravens had possession. Then they had 3 more possessions. That's 4 possessions in the 4th quarter, and they squander 21-point 4th quarter lead. Like that's unbelievable. You have There's no excuses both on the offensive end and the defensive end. And defensively, it was all how many miscues can you have with those two guys like over the top? Like that's what you have to cover. Don't let them beat you over the top.
Yeah, but you can't double both of them.
But it was clearly the two Tyreek Hill ones were safety mistakes. Like, you know what I mean? Like they were just what was the safety doing? He was just lost.
Yeah.
And you definitely can't double both. I mean, I think you give up anything, but don't let them beat you over the top. That's all I'm saying. And 4 possessions in the fourth, that's ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
And if you're able to get some pressure on the front line, right, that throws off his timing, doesn't give him enough time to get those crossing routes out. So yeah, I think you're right. I agree with you a little more, Dan, that the Ravens defense had something to say about it, but Tua still had to make the plays.
Yeah, incredible comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna walk into that.
I think this weekend will say a lot that we got Miami and Buffalo playing each other. So I think this game is going to be a 1 possession game, and it's in Miami, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Buffalo at Miami. Real quick about this one. If Tua plays well and Miami loses, are we still on the Tua hype train, or does Tua have to win this game?
I think Tua just has to play well. I think he proved that he doesn't get rattled. Like anytime you're down that many points, it's easy to go into a mode where you just either throw things away or you give up or whatever. But
right.
I think we've seen this all the way back to his Alabama days. He led one of the greatest comebacks in college history as well. So this guy's a winner, and he knows how to win. And I like what their young coach is doing. Mike McDaniel or whatever his name is. I think they've got the play. I think he's got the players motivated to play. No, not Josh McDaniels. That's Las Vegas.
You're right. Yeah, no, I think he makes some good points. Yeah, he makes some good points there. I think, if Tua shows that he's not the problem in the loss, then it's good. Because it's going to be a flip of the coin game for those two, for this game.
Because really, look at the teams, right? Like, weapons-wise, they both have great weapons, both have a great defense. It comes down to Josh Allen versus Tua. Like, that's going to be the matchup.
Nice segue into our favorite comebacks of the week. A lot of wild games going on in the league. Pick your favorite aside from the Miami game, and let's go. Dan.
Well, aside from the Miami game, well, I don't know if it's my favorite in any kind of cheering sense. I just thought it was unbelievable that the Jets beat the Browns. Like, I couldn't fathom it. I turned the game off. I went to evening church and I turned back and I was like, what just happened? And Nick Chubb got me my fantasy victory this week, and then he even walked in a touchdown that seemed like they were trying to waste time, and he walked in a touchdown and danced in their face, and then boom, the Jets out of nowhere, the Meadowlands.
Rockin'. Drew, what was yours?
Are we talking about comebacks or surprises or what are we?
Comebacks.
I don't know. I guess the Cardinals, was a good comeback. I'm still not a big believer in Kyler Murray. Like I don't think he's a top tier quarterback, but I'm actually more shocked at what the Raiders being 0-2. I think they were a team I was very interested in watching. As tough as that division is, I think Derek Carr's been underrated his whole career, and now with weapons on weapons, I thought they'd come out guns a-blazing, but good on the Cardinals for coming back, not giving up.
Yeah, Vegas needs a big win in Tennessee this week, so going down 0-3 is not good for them for their start. Let's take a look at upcoming games. Thursday night, we got Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Make sure you join us at halftime. Actually, at halftime this time, we're going to have a quick recap, and we have all of the tech difficulty sorted out. Big divisional game. Thoughts? Let's go, Drew, first.
On the games this weekend?
Yeah, let's start with Thursday night.
Yeah, Cleveland's obviously favored, but I wouldn't put it past Pittsburgh to come in there, and
Nope.
divisional game, you never know what's going to happen. And I think it's time for Najee to be Najee.
That's a fantasy take right there.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen, I think, is gonna be like that old school punch it out kind of game, slow on the ground. Gonna be like 9-6.
This game, it's gonna be a low scoring game.
Yeah, that's what it's set up for.
I think Pittsburgh can pull it out if they keep it close. Does Mike Tomlin get enough love as a coach?
Yeah.
I think he gets enough.
Yeah. How much more love does he need?
I mean, his teams are always plus, and they're close to the playoffs. So
I know. He's an amazing coach. I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying, I don't think he needs more love.
Okay. All right.
I love him enough.
I think he's always in the coach of the year conversation.
Yeah.
As it is, and he deserves to be it. And yeah.
Okay. You heard it first. Sports Reverends. Mike. Sorry, Mike. Couldn't get you more love. We already talked about the Buffalo-Miami game. The Sunday, we'll call it afternoon game, the 4:25 game. Bucks-Packers. Will Brady decide to show up?
No.
Let's go with Dan.
Giselle is got him wrapped around his finger. She's upset. It's affecting his play. He's old, and he has no receivers this week. No Mike Evans. Maybe Chris Godwin. If Chris Godwin comes back, maybe. Russell Gage, bum.
Julio Jones might be out too.
Yeah, Julio. Yeah, exactly. So unless Leonard Fournette pops off, but the Green Bay Packer defense is too good. Aaron Rodgers is gonna figure it out with his boys, and I'm a big believer in these Packers. I don't know.
That two-headed monster of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon is ridiculous. You do not want to tackle AJ Dillon in the fourth quarter.
Oh.
He's like 260 pounds coming right downhill. And then Aaron Jones looks like I think he looks like the most explosive back that I've seen so far this year.
Yeah, I'd say I like that take. Packers are real, man.
I think the Packers are starting to figure it out. So
another team that you need to keep your eye on is Detroit. This team plays hard for Dan Campbell, and they've got weapons all over that offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown went off this week, and they've got easily top 3 offensive line with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
And then Hawkinson hasn't even been Hawkinson yet.
Yeah. He played bad last game, and he was okay.
Yeah. And their defense plays hard. They've got a defensive coach, and then their offense can keep up with anybody.
Yeah. Dan Campbell.
If Jared Goff can relive his Rams days, I think that team is a sneaky wild card pick.
Yeah.
And they're also playing a very anemic Minnesota team this week. So
yeah, Kirk Cousins is terrible.
Monday nights only. Someone on ESPN has Kirk Cousins as a MVP, as an MVP pick. Is like, okay, settle down. But Detroit, if Dan Campbell gets those Lions into the wild card spot, give him Coach of the Year, please.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's look Sunday night, San Francisco, Denver. The return of Jimmy G.
And probably George Kittle.
And Kittle.
And
should be a good game.
It's going to be a very good game. I think Denver has been a big surprise of how porous they look.
Yeah.
Porous or porous?
That's what I said. Porous. Did I say porous? They're both. It's both. Because they've been poo. And
Russell
it's been
Wilson.
Russ.
Yeah, Russell Wilson does not look the same.
No.
He's got lots of weapons to go to, and I don't know what's going on there.
It's in one game.
Two.
Well, I mean, yeah.
He didn't play well.
We think about the Seattle game, but I think we have to. You guys are making good points, but it's like he played in Seattle for so long. Coming to Denver, it's a big change. It's not going to click right away.
It's
right?
the altitude.
It's not like he's been playing with these guys for years and years and years. He's still trying to develop a rapport. Give him some time. Let's see where this goes. And the Monday night, the Dallas Crap Boys and the Giants. I'll give you first take, Drew, and let Daniel serenade
The
himself.
2-0 New York Football Giants.
How? Saquon.
Yeah, Saquon. Yeah, I have to swallow my words about Saquon
Not yet.
because
No, don't say
yet.
that yet. It's week 2. Wait till
He's
week
So you
6.
guys are ready to write off Russell Wilson all of a sudden.
6 yards a carry for Saquon. If he
It's
The man's a beast.
I,
Beast it out.
at least between you and me, Drew, I thought it wasn't about his talent. It was just about health. That's what I'm saying. Wait till week 6.
I was talking about talent. I didn't think.
I think he might be the best, one of the best out there in the game today.
Yeah.
Just killing
Well,
after health.
I know you don't want to hear this, but I think New York is going to take this game.
Wow.
I don't mind. Like, people love to hate on Daniel Jones. I don't mind he reminds me. No, seriously, this is going to be. You're going to laugh at this comparison, but you remember when Mitch Trubisky led the Bears to the playoffs?
Yeah.
Like, he reminds me of that version of Mitch Trubisky. Like, he's got enough athleticism in his game where he's got to keep the defense honest. But
Drew, no, stop it.
you guys are laughing already.
They're not making the playoffs.
Who's going to win this division?
We'll see. If they beat the Cowboys,
Who's going to win this division?
The Cowboys are better. There's still so many games. There's so many games left. All right, there's so many games left. Don't worry. They'll find a way. Daniel Jones will find a way.
The Eagles look good. The Eagles look
pretty good. And the Cowboys, they have.
The Cowboys are.
They have a good defense. They have a very good defense.
see this every year.
No, they have
don't.
a good defense.
Just
Micah Parsons.
They have Micah
something
Parsons.
so special. DeMarcus Lawrence is also special.
People
Diggs.
need to. I knew you were going to bring up Diggs, and people need to stop bringing up Diggs. He is terrible.
Okay, terrible is a stretch. Right?
He gets beaten so much.
No, not so much.
Yes, he does.
How did Jamar Chase do last week?
The Bengals are a whole different story.
How do you hold down Jamar Chase? Come on, Jamar Chase is a beast.
No, you don't hold down Jamar Chase. Burrow played terrible.
Cause Michael Parsons and D-Law and the Cowboys, they're coming. Cooper
Parsons.
Rush. Come on, Ryan.
Cooper, okay, hold on.
This is what drives me nuts about Cowboys fans.
Let's go. Come
right.
on. We beat this.
We're cutting this off here.
The
Cowboys,
Super Bowl
Giants,
Bengals.
we'll see. Okay,
Let's go.
all right. Let's roll to commercial number 2, please. Commercial number 2.
Commercial number 2. Urban Hope, near and dear to my heart. Before I got to Toronto, there was 4 students that was around the neighborhood that already sucked up into gang life and got into major trouble. One was, unfortunately, we found out one died from gang shooting. 3 ended up in jail. Unfortunately, we haven't heard from them since. When we started Urban Hope, we've had a bunch of different students grow up in the program. 4 of our university students have grown up through that program and ran all of our summer programs this year and all of our youth and kids programs. And 2 of them are graduating this year from University of Toronto and now TMU, formerly known as Ryerson University. And the other 2 are just starting university, and they have been great success stories of our neighborhood, of our tough neighborhood or inner city neighborhood in Toronto. If you want to see more of that, you want to help give to that, you can do that through the sportsreverends.com. You can see our sponsorships. You can go to churchinthecity.ca as well and give that way. All of it will go towards the Urban Hope program and seeing this mentorship program grow. It's kids helping kids, and that's the beautiful picture of our university students helping the younger kids from high school and even the younger ones that are in grade school. And that's what Urban Hope's all about. So if you're interested in giving and supporting that, please do so. And thank you very much.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see young men of God taking action in our community. So yeah, please support where you can. Let's quickly run through some of this baseball stuff. I'm going to skip the recap. What do you guys think about the Jays? How are they looking? How are you feeling about them? Are you nervous? Not nervous? Confident?
Let's turn to our
Dan, why don't you
baseball
start?
expert.
Drew.
Yeah,
Okay,
me?
you can pitch to you. Yeah.
I'm not nervous about the Blue Jays making the playoffs. I don't think they catch the Yankees, but that's not really a big deal.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they beat whoever they have to play in a wild card. So it's they're in all facets of the game. I'm not really worried about them. Maybe Romano running out of steam near the end of the year here.
Oof.
Yeah, possibly.
But I think they've got enough pieces in that bullpen. I really like Simber and guys they can bring out there. So
Garcia.
starters look good. Manoa, stud. I think the key to their rotation though is Barrios. If he can get back to form, that's the real key. I think Gosman and Manoa are probably.
Yeah.
I think I'd line them up against any 1-2 punch in the league. But Barrios is the factor. If we can have a 3-headed monster going into the playoffs, that's all you need. You can run them out.
You're not high on Stripling?
I like Stripling. I'd rather see him as a long man out of the bullpen than actually starting. But yeah, that's a good. Yeah, he's definitely a good guy to have, but he's not going to give you 6-7 innings. Like you need that in the playoffs.
You need the innings eaters.
Do you think they go with Barrios as the third?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He needs to get back to form to being that third starter, which is where he should be. He should be a top. Came into the. I think he was our ace at the. I think he started the first game. So they obviously had high hopes. He's had his moments, but he needs to be back to what he was at the end of last year and throughout his career in Minnesota.
Can you just?
What are you, Danny? What are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, I just like. If they were to name a Jays MVP right now, it's like it'd be tough because there's so many names you can throw. You can throw Manoa, you can throw maybe Romano in there. You gotta talk about Bo Bichette, his historic run. He's been so hot, and
I think you even have to talk about Chapman with what he brings on the defensive side. Even Espinal, like
and
defensively, they're so good.
Yeah.
The way Chapman plays third base, him and Arenado of the Cardinals are the two best defensive third basemen.
Incredible. We got this on my birthday last week. We sat right beside Chapman, and it was just something special to watch. Like
and then Kirk too, right? Like you throw in Kirk.
So if I had to choose an MVP, I would go probably Manoa. How about you guys?
Yeah, Manoa.
I'd be on that. Because honestly, like, it feels like whenever he's up to pitch, it's a guaranteed win. Right? That's what the field feels like. So.
And it's a guaranteed 7 innings. Like he gets to the 7th inning almost every time he goes out there.
Yeah.
So even if he doesn't have his best stuff, he's going to grind it out for 7 innings, save your bullpen. Like that's what down the stretch you need healthy, rested bullpens for when you do have those games with your 4th and 5th starters.
Yeah.
If they can only go 4 or 5 innings, you have fresh guys to bring out. Because the offense is going to score runs.
Yeah.
The Jays, they're too talented not to score runs.
Well, here's my question for you, the guys. Then in the playoffs, games get tighter. Hitting tends to disappear.
Well, because you're facing the best. You're facing the best pitchers every night.
Absolutely, and one of my concerns is how many guys the Jays tend to leave on base. Right? Do you guys think they can win in those grind out close 2-1, 3-2 kind of games?
Well, that's where my issues with Romano, and that comes back to pitching, and that comes back to pitchers going deep into games during September, so that they're fresh in October. Romano gets some rest, and I think they can close out games.
I think so.
They're so clutch. Like the way Bichette's been swinging the bat, you just feel like anytime he comes up with guys on that they're going to score runs. Springer's been there, done that.
Clutch too, man. Like
Like Springer, when it gets playoff time, I'm excited to watch Springer. I think he could be a playoff MVP kind of guy.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
all those like one run games in the beginning of the season, the first 2 months of
Mhm.
the season, it's gonna benefit them come playoff time too. So
Great. I like it. Excited for the Jays and looking for a deep postseason run.
Yeah.
Who's your EL MVP? Otani? Judge? What are you guys' thoughts there?
I
It's
this is
tough,
tough.
right? It's tough.
It's tough. But here's how I look. I think you got to treat Otani like two different players when it comes to MVPs. I think you got to say, is he the best pitcher in the league? Is he the best hitter in the league? And you got to pick like it's unfair to everyone else because obviously when you stack it up, anyone who pitches and plays
Yeah.
every day in the field, like as a DH, is going to have more value. I think you got to look at this as, is he the best at any one thing? And when you look at all the stats, Judge leads in almost every offensive category. And I think he's the MVP. I thought Vladdy should have been the MVP last year. The Angels aren't a playoff team.
Mhm.
So how much value is he bringing to that team if they're not even making the playoffs? Yeah, you can say if he was off the team, they'd be even worse. But Judge is the main reason why the Yankees are one of the best teams in the league right now. Vladdy was the reason why the Jays almost pulled it out. Like, yeah. So that's my take. I think you got to treat Otani the pitcher and Otani the hitter.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I lean with Drew. He's the expert anyway, but these are my thoughts: is would Otani have that kind of Aaron Judge offensive season if he wasn't pitching? I don't think so. I think Judge is it's a historic season. He's going to break the record. I believe it's got how many games left? He needs but one more, two more, one
Two.
more to tie, two to break it. And then on top of that, he's still pretty like. Is he not going to win a defensive award in the? He plays center
Right.
field, right? He's still good
that
on
was
defense.
Gonna be my next. That was going to be my next point. Like,
Right?
Otani
So-
doesn't play in the field at all.
So I'd say Judge has to be because he's leading this team to new
And his
heights.
team's in first place.
Yeah. It sucks because Otani's that good, which is amazing. But
See,
It
yeah.
is.
So I've never thought about the way you guys talked about it in terms of two different players, and I disagree because it's that value he brings as those two players overall. I mean,
But they're a losing team.
but hold on. I still think Judge is going to win it, and I don't think he's undeserving. If you flipped Otani to the Yankees and Judge to the Angels, where would they be? Right? And I still think the Yankees would be crushing. I don't know if Judge would be getting those almost 60 home runs, right? But
I'd argue you'd
I-
have more.
hold on. I am reevaluating my position based on what you guys are saying because I didn't really think about it in the sense of you should evaluate him as two players, right? Because the whole media narrative has been, but what has he done as one, right? So I think that's a very interesting point.
will Judge win a Golden Glove, Drew? You think?
Depends how many games he's played. I think he's played all over their outfield, so it's tough.
Oh yeah, he loses points for the versatility.
Yeah, but I think next year they're actually talking about having a utility Gold Glove.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because lots of guys play in different spots, right? So
And he's up to stolen bases too. I saw some article on that too. So
Yeah, Otani steals bases too, though.
I think it's a good debate. I think the Angels need to get rid of Trout and Otani because these guys are amazing and should be playing playoff baseball and not stuck in LA selling jerseys. But that's just my take. I think we'll cut the baseball talk there. I really want to jump into this Sarver piece. As you know, for those of you who don't know, quick recap. Robert Sarver, owner of the Phoenix Suns, was hit with a $10 million fine, which is the max under the current CBA in the NBA. and has been banned from the NBA and the WNBA for a year due to we'll call it a systemic inability to knock down racism and sexism and inappropriateness in the workplace. So I posed this question to you guys. How do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? And I will toss this out there. I'm not saying this is the main reason, but did Robert Sarver get more scrutiny because he's a white guy? I'll leave that up to you. Dan, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Like, what I really wish when media releases these stories is they actually start going back to what journalism is. They actually release both sides of what actually happened. They used to release transcripts of conversations or things like that and give full context to it as well. For example, when John Gruden got scrutinized, they just said all these things about John Gruden being a misogynist and racist and anti-gay, whatever you call that, homophobic. And then you see all the actual information come out and say, oh, wow, this wasn't really what they were saying. They led the story. And I feel like that's how I come at everything media puts out, especially when I don't know the full story. Yes, I'm sure he is pretty dumb in saying some of his stories and using the N-word, even though he's repeating the N-word. I'm not sure about his sexism or other stuff like that. That's the only thing I saw was the racial stuff. When I hear LeBron James talk and say, oh, this guy, he needs to be held at a higher account. He needs to be held to the standard that players are held to. Just because he's an owner doesn't mean he should get leniency. And, well, he got fined $10 million and suspended for a year. So I don't know how much more there is to it. When I look at it, all I see is we need to know the facts. What is the accountability of the players that are misogynistic to women? You know what I mean? If you want to hold the same standard, then let's hold the same standard. I think we'll find some pretty dirty closets, if you know what I'm saying.
And the angle that I don't know if anyone's ever has discussed this yet, but like LeBron James and Chris Paul and their camp of people, I heard like a year ago that they want to make a play to actually buy a franchise after they're retired. I think Phoenix was one of the places where they talked about. Like, is this a push to get their ownership out so they can buy it at a
discounted rate, maybe?
Yeah.
Like, how racist can the owner be? He has a black general manager, a black coach. The starting five is black. Like, come on. Like, what do you mean he's racist?
And it's also weird because he's one of the few that own a WNBA team as well. Now, granted, I think, Dan, you're absolutely right. We don't have both sides. We just have the one side coming out. And I think we're all in agreement that this type of talk and framing of conversation is wrong, right? We're not saying that it's right or whatever the case may be is. I think the angle we're coming at it is, where is the standard set and who are we applying the standard to, right? I mean, LeBron James is being championed as this great social justice warrior. He's on top of things. He speaks out for the underprivileged, things like that. But he picks and chooses what he wants to talk about. Same with Chris Paul. You guys are so easy to say, oh, well, he's an owner, yes, blah, blah, blah. Well, then what are you doing about it? Are you not going to play games? Right? Are you going where and how are you taking your stand? And for example, one of their sponsors is saying, hey, if Robert Sarver comes back, we're not going to sponsor you guys.
Isn't PayPal out as a sponsor?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Was that who you're talking about?
Yeah. But that's putting your money where your mouth is. Right? That's because I know maybe who knows what kind of revenue PayPal gets from being in the NBA, but that's saying, hey, this is my line. This has been crossed. I want to do something about it, and I'm willing to take a financial hit for this. It kind of comes back to Kyrie. I mean, he took a line, took a stand, gave up a lot of money, a lot of ridicule for his beliefs, and now there's all sorts of data saying maybe lockdowns and all that kind of stuff wasn't the best way to go. But has anybody apologized to Kyrie? Has anybody thrown him props in the mainstream media? No, absolutely not. Um, and my next question is really like, how do you guys as reverends, you know, deal with conversation on a daily basis about with hypocrisy and, you know, this left-leaning ideology in your daily conversations with people who may be in your church, maybe not in part of your church? Like, how do you guys approach that conversation in a way that still incorporates God and you don't feel like smacking the person in the face?
Who's first, Drew?
Well, it's hard when people want to take such hard lines on stuff because it always opens up for people to look at you a bit harder too, right? So, like turning it around to what we believe faith-wise is that, yeah, we're all imperfect people. Like, yeah, you can find fault in any Christian, and we see people getting pointed out all the time. It's like, yeah, that's what happens when you try and it's usually people that are trying to put themselves up on a pedestal saying, you know, I'm at a different level, different standard than everybody. That's the people that really crash and burn because no one's able to live up to the standard that they're trying to set. And so what we believe is that, yeah, we're not perfect. Jesus is the only one that was perfect, and we're trying to be more like him, but we're never going to be perfect. So don't compare yourself to me, right? Don't look at me to be your example. I think that's tough when you get into these athletes, right? Because we all sort of put them up as role models and guys that we want to emulate and idolize, and that's dangerous. That's when because they're going to make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes, and yeah, some mistake. Like obviously, there's accountability there. Like it doesn't mean you're free to make mistakes. Like this guy obviously should be punished. Was it too harsh? I don't like that's not for us to decide, I guess. But yeah, that's I don't know if I was talking in circles there. Dan, go.
No, it's good. I think that's you hit it on the head actually, Drew. And when you have a conversation, especially I'm in Toronto, right? Everyone is opposing the biblical values and principles. It's very anti-church and anti that. And so what I like to do is I do exactly what you said. You build out of the conversation, you build a friendship with the person. You find a common ground and find a way to be able to get to a point where you can disagree and still be friends. And from our point of view, in Christianity, you just love on them, you care about them, and you still go the extra mile for them. If they need you to walk 2 miles, you walk 3, and you go that route because that's what Jesus would have done. And we have to do that because who else is going to do it? Our schools aren't doing it. Our society is telling you the opposite. And you still have to stand firm in your beliefs, but you just overwhelm them with constantly caring about them. And then they'll see, hopefully we'll see God do a work in them. We're just there to be faithful. That's what I believe that we got to do. I'm not going to logic someone into their beliefs, right? They're going to believe what they're going to believe. It's a revelation. It's a transformation that God does in them.
Do you think you have to be, as a Christian, you have to be okay with people not accepting that? Or do you have to really find a way to make somebody be okay with your hardline stance?
For me, no. I don't have to feel that way. That's between them and with how they want to live their life. That's between them and God. One day they'll find out what truth is, and it says every knee will bow. So my goal is to still direct them and care about them and open a door for them, but there's people in Christianity. I wouldn't just say a little amount, a major amount of people in Christianity that we all disagree with, and we can't change their minds, right? It's got to be a God thing.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get caught up in thinking that we have to come up with the greatest argument to convince someone what we believe, right? And that's not how it works. It's like he said, we follow the great commandment, and the Holy Spirit is working on each person, and until that clicks, we just do our job and let God do his.
No, I think you guys have kind of married what we were talking about very well together here. I mean, we want to live to the standard of Jesus. I think that's our goal.
Yeah.
We want to apply that to everything that we do. And we look at what we see in the media a lot of times is picking and choosing where the standard applies. You have people on TV like Don Lemon, can say whatever they want because he's a colored person. If a white guy were to say that on TV, he'd be canceled in like that. And we see this all the time I like to use LeBron James as my scapegoat because he's like very recognizable and you can really see the dichotomy of what he does. If you're going to stand up for one human rights issue and one situation, you should need to stand up for all of them in that same vein. You can't choose, I'm gonna go for this one black person, but not this other black person. Or if the roles are reversed, the black and white person, I'm not going to talk with the white person at all. And the hypocrisy is it's all about, from what I see on TV and in the media, it's like what can make me look good to people in the world, right? And then as Christians, we have to. I think you guys are right. We have to be okay if somebody doesn't agree with us and doesn't want to talk to us for a while, because what's more important, their friendship or doing what God says? A great conversation, guys. I always forget that you guys are good at what you do. To me, you're still my little brother and little dumb kid who I coached basketball. But when we have these kind of conversations, it really sees that you guys have done the right thing and followed God's word. So really cool to see that.
One thing we've all missed, that we all forgot to say, is that with baseball playoffs approaching, NBA season starting soon, they conveniently changed the vaccination border rules.
That came out today, yeah.
That has come out today. So Toronto and the New York Yankees won't have any issues with crossing of borders. And I think it's suspect, the timing, in my opinion.
I mean, we've just been praying really hard, okay? Like, let's just, come on. As we wrap up today, great conversation, a lot of good talks. Join us Thursday, halftime. We'll have figured out our issues and we'll be rolling. And we'll be going live on YouTube, correct? Follow us on social media, like, subscribe, interact with us. We love to chat with you guys, and we appreciate you, Daryl Rempel. You see the Facebook comments. Shout out to you. And you guys have a great week, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Peace out, world.
Peace.